G'day viewers. You know, Australians have a bad habit of telling foreigners silly stories to trick them into thinking far out things happen in Australia. While drop bears may or may not be real, it can be hard to be sure because some things that are definitely real are at least as strange as that. For instance, it's the anniversary of the Great Emu War. Now the title alone hopefully intrigued you. The Great Emu War. What was it? Did factions of emus go to war against each other? Or did different armies go to war for some reason over their concept of emus? Was it like the War of the Roses? No, it was an actual military engagement by the Australian Army against emus. I'm not making this up. In November 1932, the Australian Army engaged with emus in Western Australia in an attempt to wipe out plague proportions of them who were ravaging local farmland. The 7th Heavy Battery of the Royal Australian Artillery, led by one Major Meredith, seen here on Parade Day, went after the emus with machine guns. Now, this seemed like a good idea, but it failed on a number of reasons. First, the emus split up into smaller groups, almost like they were using guerrilla tactics, which was confounding the military plan. Second, emus are really fast, and when the machine guns opened up, they scattered and were quickly out of range, and really only a handful of emus were shot by the military. But our brave fighting men were not deterred, and a couple of days later they planned to ambush the emus at a dam, and about 1,000 emus were gathered there, and this time they waited until the emus came close before they opened fire. A cunning plan ruined only by the fact their guns jammed, and again they only shot a handful of birds before the others ran away. Another cunning military plan was to attach a machine gun to a jeep and chase the bloody emus down. Did I mention they're very fast? They were faster than the jeep, so this whole rigmarole proved to be completely pointless when the emus outpaced the jeep that was chasing them. The military persisted over the coming weeks, and they became slightly more successful, and by the end of the initial campaign they had killed maybe a couple thousand of the completely unarmed birds after firing off tens of thousands of rounds. Several times over the next decade, the farmers asked for military intervention against the emus again. You may be surprised to learn the government said no, most likely because they were incredibly embarrassed at the degree to which the emus had the upper hand. The whole thing is perhaps best summed up by Major Meredith, who led the expedition, who said if he had a military division that had the bullet-carrying capability of emus, he'd take on any army in the world. They can face machine guns with the invulnerability of tanks. So if you come to Australia, show the proper respect to our fauna. Don't take it lightly. Don't try and tread on that spider. Don't throw a stick at that swooping magpie. Don't pretend drop bears don't exist. And don't take emus lightly. The Australian Army did, and they learned the error of their ways in the Great Emu War.